What's up, guys? What is up, man? We're finally live again, and and I've been waiting to introduce this fella. This is my brother from another mother. Norman is going to give him the proper introduction here in a little bit, but guys, we're so blessed to be able to be back and be live. And man, I'm just so excited. I love doing the podcast. I love doing the pre-recordeds, but there ain't no feeling about but just being live and just raring to go. I've been itching to go probably since Monday when I knew that this sucker was going to be a live episode. So, guys, man, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
That's right, Colin, and I am Norman Lee. But first things first, we have to take care of some business as always. We got to pay the bills tonight. Let's talk about a sponsor for tonight's episode. Steam and Steve's, the best seasoning on the planet, a family owned and operated company offering quality small batch barbecue sauces, rubs, and seasonings with over 2 decades of experience in the kitchen and behind the grill. Head chef Steam and Steve has a knack for developing the most savory, mouth-watering, unmatched quality that you will leave your taste buds spinning out of control. From all sauces, mild to hot, with Steam and Steve's seasonings, will have you coming back for more with the perfect kick, allowing you to enjoy the sweet flavor. Use it on steak, chicken wings, and ribs, turning your average griller into a gourmet chef, winner of multiple national and international awards. Try them out today by going to www.steamandsteves.com. Again, that is steamandsteves.com. You gotta have them. Man, I tell you what, Colin, you know what? You hit it on the head with our guest tonight. He is a good buddy of ours. He is a friend of the show. Me personally, I've known this man, I think, since the early 1990s. Of course, we're hometown boys right here, grew up together in the same town. But anyway, forget all that. Let's introduce this cool cat and give him the proper introduction that he well deserves. Our guest tonight served Our guest tonight has served the state of Florida in law enforcement, retiring from the Department of Corrections after a stellar 27-year career in April of 2014. During his many years of service, he has received multiple state and local awards and certificates in recognition of his true character, dedication, selflessness, and sacrifice. In June of 2002, he received one of the most prestigious honors that a civilian can achieve, the Civil Service Award presented by, at the time, Governor Jeb Bush. Shortly after retiring, he decided to focus on his true passion, where he started Lake Placid Freshwater Chartering Guide. Now, 10 years removed, he has become one of the most recognizable names in the world of crappie fishing, along with his new apparel line has taken his charter business next level. But his most proud accomplishment is the ability to give back to his community that has given him so much, as such as a veteran memorial that has become a town landmark. One of the best guys you could ever meet on and off the water, loved by all unless you're a crappie. Miss, Miss Crenshaw.
What's up, brother?
Hey,
What's
brother
up?
Colin, how you doing?
Man, I tell you, guys, I have known Dennis. I guess it's going on 4 years, and and I mean from the get go. I mean Dennis and I have hit it off. I mean we've stayed in contact, and I thoroughly enjoyed your friendship, and I thoroughly enjoy your conversations because I know. Especially if I got questions about crappie fishing that I can holler at you and you're willing to answer and I enjoy the conversations that we have even when we're talking about bass fishing. I know that you stay in your lane with the crappie and you are one heck of a guy with the crappie, but you just want to absorb everything with that has to do with fishing because you understand that with how excuse me, how bait moves, how crappie moves, and then how bass moves, and if you can understand maybe something that maybe that a bass is doing that you it may give you another upper hand on the crappie as well. And I really thoroughly enjoy just you wanting to talk to and willing to learn about, even if it's bass fishing, just trying to just keep that upper hand, because I tell everybody, guys, this is the top crappie guide that is out there. We're going to go into more details about Lake Placid, Freshwater, and chartering guides, because there's not another crappie guide, not another guide service out there that does what Dennis does, and we're going to get into more details about it. But brother, I wanted to say, man, I really thoroughly enjoy your friendship, and I really mean it when I say a brother from another mother, because I know I can just make a phone call and you're going to answer. And so, but brother, man, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. No problem.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing too before we really start going on with the show. I have a nickname for this man. It's called the Energizer Bunny. I'll tell you a quick backstory. I knew Dennis way before this during our school days, but never really, we never really hung out and stuff like that. We weren't really friends. But way back in the day, this is like the late 1980s and early 1990s. Of course, Dennis, was at that time even working for the state of Florida as a correctional officer for the DeSoto County Correctional, down a little bit south of us. But he came in and got a job at a hardware store here in Lake Placid as well. So this man would work a 12-hour shift at the DeSoto County Corrections Facility. He would get off without even coming home. He would head for his part-time job at 4 in the afternoon, and we closed at 9. He would work from 4 to 9 before he even goes home to recoup. And now today, me or Colin, he's actually driving his truck all day long, 8 hours, which I think you're going to retire pretty soon too, after what, 20 years? Doing that. That was his third or fourth or fifth job at the same time. We call him. He's in his dump truck on his way home after working that 8 hours. And Colin can attest to driving a truck. That is one of the hardest jobs on a body, because you don't only drive the truck, there's a lot of other stuff goes with it when you get to your destinations. But he's on his way home to get his boat and stuff ready to do a charter trip that night. So I don't think this man ever sleeps. I complain when I hit the water for an 8-hour trip myself, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't even imagine continuing my day for another 8 or 9 hours like this man does. But anyway, a little side note with Dennis, he's like the Energizer Bunny. I don't think he ever sleeps. And he never gets tired. So, but I will say one thing too. As you can see with everything he's done and everything he has accomplished, he has worked for everything he has today. Nothing was handed to this man on a silver spoon. Everything he has got has because of his work ethic and his enthusiasm for what he does. Every time you talk to him about, no matter what he's doing, whether it's his truck, whether it's crappie fishing, he always is like, that's the best thing going right now. So it's just his enthusiasm, but the work ethic is just by far, and that's why he has got what he has today and what he's become, especially with the word of crappie fishing, man. But
yeah. So, but Dennis, I want to get started. I want to talk about, how did you get started into fishing? I mean, you are blessed to be able to be in a town that has 27 lakes and a stone's throw away, and uh, and I mean, and the lakes that you have right there in your back door. I mean, literally at your back door. has double digit bass. I don't know, Dennis. For one, I don't know if I could have went to crappie fishing if I was born and raised where you were living and have double digit bass um, in my back door. Because guys, literally, his back door, he's blocks away from the boat ramp, and he's got one heck of a lake right there in his backyard. Um, but Dennis, how did you get started into fishing? It didn't have to be crappie fishing, but just how did you get into fishing?
So my daddy always fished, and he always taught us how to fish. So that was a plus from the start. And then while I was doing my law enforcement job, one of my friends, we decided to go into business as a partner. We started our own crappie, and he decided he wanted to go into alligator hunting. So
Oh,
that
nice.
helped me with crappie fishing by myself. So I just, first of all, I want to say that I'm blessed to have a business that named after the town,
Yes.
Lake Placid, Florida. Lake Placid Freshwater Charting Guide is an awesome name. Is an awesome place to be, as you say,
Yeah.
27 lakes. And the thing about it is, before I get too far off, I often get calls from Lake Placid, New York, for
I was
crappie.
about to. That was
Just
going to be one of my questions.
Lake Placid, Florida. But that's how I pretty much got into crappie fishing.
Yeah, and you brought up old pops, and I tell you, Dennis, man, it was an honor and a blessing to be able to meet him,
Yeah.
um,
And
and just um, even though what I met him twice, and he is now gone and up in heaven and rejoicing with the good Lord and Savior. And but I just want to say, Dennis, I mean, I really enjoyed meeting your pops, and he he was very inspirational to see at his age of how he still kicked around in the yard and everything when I met him. So, but yeah, so, but it was awesome to be able to meet your pops and stuff. So, and he has, you can tell with your work ethic that he really put a good work ethic into you, and you have done that with your kiddos and stuff. And because every single one of them, every time I talk to you, you're talking about them, and they every single one of them has a heck of a work ethic, and I mean they get it honestly. So, but
it's a really great
so I could not say go do this podcast with you and not bring up pops because it was an honor to be able to meet him, Dennis.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I do. Let's talk about Lake Placid Freshwater Charter and Guides. Um, this guide service, and I know that we're going to talk a lot about, guys, that we're going to talk a lot about crappie fishing. We do talk, I mean, this, we don't have that many crappie guides on, and so to be able to have Dennis come on and talk some crappie fishing is very awesome. But when I say that this is the best crappie guide service that you will ever be on, let us explain what we're talking about and you will understand. Um, Dennis does not go out there to just have you go and catch a few crappie. His goal is for you to go out there and to fill up a cooler full of crappie. Um, but everybody knows when you're out there and you're out on the water, you get hungry.
better go out with an empty stomach.
Dennis takes care of that. Dennis has on he's got what, you got what, three pontoon boats
3.10 in the bass boat.
and a bass boat. And on each of the pontoon boats, Dennis has a grill that he's got set up. And Dennis will grill you some hot dogs, or I've seen where he's done hamburgers. Dennis makes sure that belly it stays full so you can keep on hammering out them crappie. And but I tell you that that right there just surpasses everybody with. I mean, nobody else does that. Nobody else feeds the clients. That's that extra step that Dennis goes to. Excuse me. And but the other thing is I mean, he fills up coolers, and that's what he needs to. His statement needs to be on for Lake Placid freshwater chartering guys is we fill up coolers, and that's all that he needs to say. And just hands down, just boom, that's it. If I seen that says we fill up coolers, I know I'm booking a trip, let alone being fed. Um, but Dennis, what is it with? I mean, because I've seen no telling how many pictures you have sent me, Dennis. Uh, that you have had like I don't know what it is about Florida. Florida makes massive fish. The crappies that you have sent me, like the one that's right in between y'all, above your shoulder, I mean, that is a massive crappie. And uh, the crappie that you send me pictures of and the pictures that you post and stuff are just massive. What is it down in Florida, or what is it that generates the bigger crappie like that? It has to be something with the bait. They're getting plenty of bait to eat.
Well, I really can't say right now because what Norman can tell you how we used to have a whole bunch of grass and stuff for
Yeah,
the fish to feed on. Obviously, everybody moving to Florida, staying on the big lake, nice, pretty lake. So they're doing a lot more spraying than I anticipate. So,
yeah,
uh, but being that said, I'm gonna give myself credit. I study a lot. I do a lot of practicing. When I take the clients, I want to make sure they getting what they deserve. So I'm always going out pre-fishing and trying to find out different structure to make the
yeah,
trip a success.
yeah. And that's what that's what makes or breaks a good guide. Um, and is are you doing the homework? Are you spending the time out on the water to be able to find? Because just like what we've talked about before, like crappie move just like what bass do. And for you to be able to put your clients on fish and quality fish, you have to be out there. You have to stay out. I know during hurricane season and stuff, it's hard to be out there. I mean, anything with being, especially being in a pontoon boat, anything what 15, 20 mile an hour, that's just pushing that pontoon everywhere. I mean, it's hard to be able to keep that pontoon where you need to be. And then it's not safe as well to be out in that in that kind of wind. But what I one thing that I am very impressed with you, Dennis, is the fact you do all this without forward facing sonar. And because I guarantee you every other guide that does crappie has forward facing sonar on it. Because it is so easy with crappie to be able to find them, throw it, you see your bait. Crappie is the easiest thing to catch on forward facing sonar. Um, and it just goes to show that your time that you're spending out there with and not having to use forward facing sonar. I know me and you've talked about it here the past couple of weeks that you're actually wanting to get forward facing sonar, not theoretically for your clients to be able to use it because you're wanting to be able to up your game and be able to find that crappie, be able to find other places to where you can take them and stuff like that as well. Um, but that says a lot about you, brother. And so,
Uh,
um,
One thing, real quick, Colin, before we kind of move on, I'll expand a little bit on what we're talking about as far as the big crappie that Dennis catches out there too. And myself and Colin's been with Dennis a couple times out there, and I've been with Dennis a few times as well.
Yeah.
But you know, Dennis is right. You know, a lot of the grass has uh, gone. That Lake June used to have a
Yeah.
lot of great shrimp grass. It used to hold all kinds of bait offshore. I mean, it was loaded offshore with
Yeah.
6 inch high off the bottom shrimp grass. That all went away. But I'm actually excited to see too, because while I'm down here, I actually did spend one day on June, and a lot of that grass is coming back. They're not messing with it, and it is starting to come back.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons Dennis actually catches so many of the big crappie is even when the grass is gone, it doesn't affect it as much as most people would think, just due to the fact that a lot of the areas that he fishes, that he targets offshore, Lake June has an abundance of shell bed out there.
Yeah.
There is crazy abundance of shell beds. So one of the things Dennis targets when without grass is shell beds. And when he fishes over the shell beds, of course, the shell beds is what holds the minnows that the crappie feed on. They actually
Yeah,
feed
that's the
up
key
good.
right
They
there.
actually feed up big
Yeah.
time on the minnows, and that's why a lot of them crappie is gigantic, prototypical of Florida, whether it's a Florida bass or Florida crappie. That's one of the reasons they grow so much bigger down here. One of the reasons, not the only reason, but of course they feed up well offshore on them shell beds. So kind of going back to that, that's one of the reasons he actually catches in giants is because
Yeah.
not only grass, but a lot of it's shell bed that's holding the bait fish out there that the crappie is actually feeding on.
So one thing I want to hit on right fast before we go on. So the lights I have on my boat, when we talked about minnows, like Norman was saying, the whole
Right.
idea of me crappie fishing in Florida in the lakes that I got down here is the light is to bring the minnows up. So it's like game
Right.
recognized game. I'm bringing the minnows up. I'm fishing with the minnows. Another thing technique that I learned too while I was fishing recently, you need to hook that minnow where he'll swim naturally. A lot of my customers got the audacity to hook him in the lips to let him. It's like he's standing up going to the space, going like the space shuttle shooting off. A different technique, and it actually worked good because that crappie coming after that minnow, you want to swim naturally.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What I'm saying.
And one thing
Right. Right.
too is when you do hook a minnow, for our viewers that actually is crappie fishermen who want to try that. When you do hook a minnow, the way Dennis is saying, so it actually looks natural, just skin hook it under that top dorsal. Don't go too deep because
Yeah.
the spine runs a little bit under that, and if you go through the wrong area, you're
Yeah.
going to lose that. Don't go too
Yeah.
deep. Just skin hook it under that dorsal. They'll stay on. They're not going to come off.
Yeah. Now, what size bait are you using, Dennis? Is it just like little toughies that are just like tiny, or are they kind of larger?
No, if I don't know, Norman know, but have you ever heard of a live? We call them Missouri minnow. They actually come out of Mississippi.
Right.
They bring the big trucks and the vats, you know what I mean, on big tractors
Right.
and trailers. But that's what I typically like to fish with. Now I do when I do one customer, go to Lake East Poke. I do use my artificial bait too. But
Right.
obviously you can't do that the way I fish with three customers. You're gonna be tangled up every time.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so I catch crappie like three different ways. It
Right.
depends on how many customers I got. But my forte is I like to get a group of people. 3 to 4 people's on
Right.
obviously on a pontoon boat, and like you say, fill up the cooler.
Now, I do. You brought up Estapoga, and um, can you explain the difference? Like, because again, like we said earlier, 27 lakes right around Lake Placid. Um, can you explain the difference of like in between like June, Placid, and Escapoga? Can you explain like the difference? Because all three are different bodies of water, even though they're within a stone's throw away from each other. They fish totally different. I know, especially with bass fishing and crappie fishing, they all they fish differently. So what's the difference? Like, let's say between June and Escapoga.
I'm glad you asked that question. When I say different, it's one of the biggest difference in fishing you ever want to come across. One of
Right.
the big difference is Easter Poke only 10 foot deep average. I mean, right now, 10, 8 foot,
The
8 to 10.
maximum depth, which is a very small section of the lake, is 9 to 10 foot, and that's only about a football field length distance. The average depth on Escapoga is about 2 foot. Is average.
Yeah.
So in other words, you can go from
But it's a 27,000 acre lake.
you can go from one of the
Yeah.
best fishing trip to one of the worst. Within well, me with pontoon bass, you can withstand the wind a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More weight, whatever. But your trip can end real quick at East Poker, and it can be one
Right.
of the best you ever had because you got all the pencil weed, you got the lily pad, and I got so many techniques in fishing that it's awesome. I'm gonna give myself credit on that. So
Oh,
one of
you
my
got to. You got to.
when I go on the lily pad, which they spun and they like to hide because of our heat, it get hot in the summertime.
Oh, yeah. That's an underestimated statement right there. But because again, like Estapoga is a shallow water. June is a deeper lake. Um, it gets what to about 20 foot.
Deeper than
At
that,
Go
there's about
40.
a 40 foot.
is it 40?
Yes, 40.
Typically, your normal fishing depth is going to be between, if you're offshore, is going to be between 15 foot and 29.
I usually fish
Yeah.
around 27,
Yeah.
anywhere from
Okay.
25 to 27 foot.
Typically, you won't go over 29. Once you get below 30, it's totally different than up north. Up north, they go down because you got a better oxygen content deeper. But in Florida, with the oxygen content, the warmer waters, typically, if you go below 30 foot, the oxygen level decreases as you get deeper beyond 30, and the bass and crappie don't have a good enough oxygen content,
Yeah.
beyond 30 foot. So
So
typically,
I imagine that June would have a thermocline then.
it does.
And so, and guys, if you don't know what a thermocline is, it's where you can on your down imaging, you can put the gain like make the gain higher, and so what it's going to do, you're going to see the top of the water, you're going to see the bottom, but it's somewhere in the middle. It may be closer to the bottom, but you're going to see a line going all the way across your unit. And so when you see that line, and then up underneath it, you're going to have the bottom. That line is the thermocline. So anything that's below that thermocline is kind of like what Norman's talking about. The oxygen's not going to be as much. Fish tend not to be below that thermocline. They're always going to be. So let's say if you're fishing in 30 foot of water and it's at 25 foot, then all right, I need to be fishing somewhere in between 25 foot and shallower. So,
Yes, you're
um,
absolutely correct.
but I do want to talk about Escapoga because I love that lake for bass fishing. I do want to get out there with you and do some crappie fishing, or some people may call it speck fishing.
Well,
But but I do want to get out there and do that with you, just for the fact because if somebody that's never fished down in Florida, I mean, up here we've got like Gunnersville that has like fields of lily pads. Chickamauga has some lily pads, but there's not a place that I have ever been to that I have seen so many lily pads. And so and you talked about, Dennis, about how the crappie will push up underneath them lily pads to stay cooler.
yes.
So do are when you do that, are you catching as well? Because I imagine that the bluegill and like shell cracker and stuff like that will also push up underneath there as well. So do you tend to catch more of like the bluegill and shell cracker on Escapoga than you would on Placid or June?
Yes, so this how it works. No matter what lake I'm in, East Apoga, Lake June, Lake Placid, Lake Huntley, it always, almost every time. I don't know if the bluegills are more dominant fish than a crappie or what, but almost every time I take clients fishing, I always catch the bluegill first.
Yeah, the bluegills
Almost
actually
90% of the
yeah,
time.
they're a more aggressive fish. So if there's bluegill and
Yeah.
crappie in the area, the bluegill's going to attack the bait first because they're just more. It's almost like a smaller bass versus a giant bass.
So
a smaller bass is more aggressive.
another thing I want to emphasize right quick. So when I'm in East Apoga, I'm gonna teach you something. So I got all kind of tools and tactics that I use to make me the fisherman that I am. I got a pool. I got one of them pool cleaning stick that stands out. I put a pruning saw
Right.
on it. So
Yeah.
when we're in the lily pad, so I pull up in the lily pad. I cut little slits in, and I have my clients with the telescopic jig pole to drop down in there. That way, even if,
Right.
when we catch the crappie and they tangle up around one, we reach the pole out and cut the bottom of the lily pad and pop right up. So
Oh
you
man.
going out, you never
Yeah.
knew
I
that.
mean, it's tricks of the trade and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, so what's like? We've got a question um, from a guy named Jeremy. He says, "What type of line are you using? Uh, let's see, what was it? What type of line are you using, especially in the lily pads?"
So normally I always try not, when I'm crappie fishing, you don't want to use real heavy line. Now we
Right,
got season when we got bluegills and shell cracker, which is coming up. I mean, really, the shell cracker, they're gonna be hitting like nonstop. I use a little larger line, 10 pound test, something
right.
heavier. Because I know they take off like a space shuttle.
Oh
They
yeah.
really bite. You better hold your pole when they hit. But no, you want to use your lighter test line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you doing any type of crappie fishing, to me that works best.
Right. And I know because Dennis, we've talked about this. Uh, we've been out on the boat a few times, and every time it never fails, guys. Dennis has got to tell me, watch the hook set, watch the hook set, because again, I fish for crappie up here, but I mainly will do bass fishing. I've done more crappie fishing here this past year, but I still have that instinct to, I mean, just wham. And I mean, I don't hook set as hard as what I do for a bass because I know in my mind that I am crappie fishing. And Dennis is always, you got just, you got to ease up, ease up. So, Dennis, what is it with the hook set that why do you
So
have to do an easier hook set with a crappie than you do with like a bass or even the shell crackers? The shell crackers you can have a little harder hook set
so
on too.
a lot of people don't know crappie have a real soft mouth.
Right.
So we don't know how that crappie swallow the hook? Did he bite? Did he have it in the top of his lip? Which you already know if he get it in the top of his lip, it's a possibility you're gonna bring him. You're gonna see him come to the boat,
Yeah.
but he gonna fall off if you snatch bite too hard. That's why when you went fishing with me, I taught you how to do an even pull, keep the
Yeah.
pressure on him at all time. I go up real high and I reel down as I come. When I get around my waist, then I stop. As soon as I see the fish come to the top of the water, I stop reeling. No more reeling because now you taking a chance of the fish falling off. So
Right. Right.
you wanna pull them up easy and pull them into the boat. But we don't know if that fish swallowed the hook or did he barely got it to the tip of his mouth. So
Right.
we always have to treat all of them the same way,
Yeah.
and that's the purpose of it.
Another question is, do you just live bait fish or do you use crappie jigs?
It depends on how many customers I got. Obviously, if I got 3 customers like I'm set up to do, I use live bait every time, live milk. But if I
Right.
get a client that he going by himself, and we go in the bass boat, then we do artificial, the green
Yeah,
jigs, troll, uh,
yeah.
but
And
my when
But
I
also,
when you're on
uh,
probably use the jigs more when you're jigging for them, correct?
yes, yes,
but I mean, the thing is when you get a guide, or not a guide, but um, when you have a client call you, 9 times out of 10, they're wanting this crappie to take home to eat. Um, and that kind of goes back to what you have told me and what you had said earlier. Like, I'm out there to fill up coolers. And so, um, and if there's a way to where you're going to be able to catch more to be able to fill up coolers for your clients, then that's what you're going to do. And so, I guess that kind of helps. I mean, if you want to have Dennis to take you out to do the artificial, then I mean he can definitely do that. But again, he most of his clients are wanting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis. Most of your clients are wanting to be able to take the crappie and be able to clean the crappie so they can eat it for later on.
yes, you absolutely correct. And I'm gonna remind you of this. Normally, they used to then want the bluegills when you like I say, we even when you crappie fish, you normally catch bluegill first. And I used to
Right.
donate them to the elderly people. But now all my clients, I don't know if time got harder or tough. They want every fish. Ain't no more. You can have the bluegills no more.
So, how does it trip when your clients want to take coffee with them to clean them? And do you offer cleaning
Yes,
as
I got
well?
a guy that clean my fish, and well, obviously you can't get them to the next day. Most people that come here, they got a place to stay. When
Right.
I deal with people, I'm blessed. I deal with people all over the world. When I say I got an awesome, good business, I got an awesome, good business. Now that I got Airbnb, it even better. You got the
Yeah.
opportunity to have the people a place to stay and to fish, and they come from
Yeah.
all over the world, all
Oh
over the
yeah.
world.
Yeah. So I do. You just don't have the guide service. Your apparel within like the last year. Yeah, look, there's one of his shirts, his hats. I've actually
Blankets.
I I've got his shirt somewhere around in my office. I meant to put it on here earlier, but I accidentally threw this one on. But um, your apparel has just blown up. It's kind of, I mean, to be honest with you, Dennis, it has surprised the crap out of me because I'm like, what is it? And I mean, you do one heck of a job with it and getting it out. Uh, so I do want to talk about your apparel real quick.
First, I want to thank Duke from Native Boy TV that shot me and Norman show when we first got together. Well, obviously doing the little show. He the one take care of my apparels for me, and
Yeah,
he do a heck of a job. He got his own too, so he incorporate this. We talk all the time, but he did a wonderful job. I have jackets. I got the dry fit with the hoodies. I got the kids clothing lines. The women's hat, the pink cancer awareness. I got all type of clothing lines to fit everybody need. And
right.
like you said, they have really taken off. You go on my website, Lake Placid Freshwater Charting Guide. You just go up to the top three lines and click on that. It'll tell you all about Dennis Crenshaw, Lake Placid Freshwater Charting Guide. I got gift certificates. My business has really went to the top. I mean, it's
Yeah,
one of the best business I ever seen.
it has, and I mean, and you and Miss Gwen have been blessed. I mean, beyond measure. Um, and with you being able to retire from law enforcement, which I want to talk about here in a minute, to starting the guide service, to you driving your own dump truck, and I mean, I know when I call you, one, you're either going to be either out driving the truck? Or are you going to be out on the boat? Are you cleaning the boat up, ready to get it ready for guide service? And then the Apparel has just blown up. Um, so I mean, y'all have really been blessed. The good Lord has definitely been watching out for y'all and blessed you. Um, but I cannot have you come on, Dennis, and not say anything about the love, which you can see above Norman, guys. That flag, part of it, all you can see is the that's a Super Bowl champion. This is probably the biggest Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan that I have ever met, and uh,
It
so
pains me to say, Colin, because I always consider myself the biggest, but
nah,
I think Dennis has about 20,000 steps on me. Now, if I was still down here and going to every game every week, season ticket holders and all that 9 yards, I would say we would be equal. But yeah, he
nah,
definitely roots for the right team.
no, no,
Right team.
didn't,
The right,
Yeah,
no,
I know you
the
like
right
Tennessee.
team.
no, no,
Right.
but so I mean, they had a decent season this year. They could have done a lot better. But do you think that they're going to make another run at the
Yes.
Super Bowl again here pretty soon, Dennis?
Yes.
Even with Baker,
My brother from another mother were twins. We think alike.
I guys, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they had to go get old Tom Brady to try to get a Super Bowl. He got one for them,
Yeah, he got
but
one.
but I don't know them Chiefs are hard to beat right now.
Yeah, but they need to put a team around Patrick Mahomes. Baker Mayfield has a team around him. They just can't. They're just making too many little mistakes towards the end of the games. But
Yeah,
we got a quarterback now that I think if all the stars align and everything, he could hold his own.
Oh, and another thing I want to tell you about the Bucks that got something to do with Dennis Crenshaw. I don't just only go to the Bucks game because I love football. I really don't. If me personally, I'm retired. Whether we win, lose, or draw, I go to tailgate. I go to have a good time. I go to the Bucks game. You would be surprised how many people know about Lake Placid, Freshwater, Charter, and Guide when I go to the game. So I'm either got a Buck jersey on, a Lake Placid, Freshwater, Charter, and Guide hat, either Lake Placid, Freshwater, Charter, and Guide jersey on, or a Buck hat.
No matter where this man goes, he's networking.
Yeah, so
I've seen pictures at the game.
It's crazy
with him hanging out with big time movie producers.
every professional person in the world, Will Piker. You know what I mean?
yeah,
RG3. I meet so many people.
yeah.
All the time.
So I had to say something about your Bucks again because I know. I mean, he's even got a Corvette that is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers red, and it's all ready to go. But his whole dining room area and actually what they're facing has actually Angelo, I will ask that question here in just a second. He has like an armoire stuff of memorabilia of stuff that he's gotten from the Bucks. So I had to say something about the Bucks. So Angelo says, does the weather affect your bookings, or do you go out in any weather?
No. So I'm actually 4 trips behind right now. Right as we talking. I had to cancel a trip Sunday night. It started out, the wind was 6 miles an hour. I don't fish over 10 miles an hour because you got to remember I'm in a pontoon boat,
Yeah.
not a bass boat. So your weight is different. So, but as far as, I don't know why people came up with this idea that crappie bite more in the winter. Do we eat year round? Yes, we do. Crappie bite year round. What happened is, I think the concept is the northerners come to Florida a lot, so they have that tendency. Now, is it better? Yeah, it's better, a little bit better in the winter, but I catch crappie year round.
Yeah.
It ain't no time you can't go fish with me. So when I go to Placid Lake, Lake Placid, where you on normal went, it's deeper water. They got spots out there 60 foot deep out there. So I
Right.
don't, cause I go in deeper water, I don't fish deep. It give
Right.
you a chance to fluctuate up and down and where the crappie, like they swim in schools.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
the option.
Um, and I think then it's where people kind of get that idea of the winter time that the crappie and I think you are correct when you said like do we eat all year round? Um, I think people know that they eat all year round. I think that they're thinking on that. Then is the fact of they catch more, just like what you just said. Is the bite better? Because here, like summertime, the crappie are going deep. They're going to be on the brush piles. They're going to be on sandbars. They're going to be on something that is going to be deeper in that colder weather or water. To where in the wintertime, we could catch them in a foot of water or even shallower up here in Tennessee.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the main reasons for that kind of false analogy that a lot of people think is Lake Placid from November through April pretty much doubles in size. Floridians, we down here, Florida, call them snowbirds. Everybody from north come down for that time of the year because they're getting out of the snow, getting out of the winter. And a lot of them have houses down here that they own that's
Right.
vacant all, summer long. They come down, they already have a place to stay. Others rent homes, but Lake Placid doubles in size, and that's not
Yeah.
an understatement. So
Yeah.
what happens now? There's most of them is fishermen. They come down just to fish. Now, a lot of them, some of them bass, but the majority of your snowbirds or your winter residents that kind of makes Lake Placid double in size is crappie fishermen. They all go out fishing for crappie. Now,
Yeah.
here's what happens: the bait stores, whether at crappie jigs, minnows, you could pretty much see with the doubling in size, the crappie business in your local tackle shops quadruples during that time of the year. So it's an analogy that a lot of people have just because of the traffic you get.
Yeah.
The boat ramps are filled with crappie fishermen that you're not going to see during the summertime. So that's why a lot of people have that in their mind. But it's just the only reason that is because it's because of the population increase
Yes.
that Lake Placid has.
Yeah.
People see it in the bait stores. They see it with the sales, the crop. Everybody's buying the crappie jigs. Sometimes you go into a bait store and they're completely out of a whole rack of crappie jigs where you never see that in the summertime. So it's kind of in people's minds. That's the main reason that people think that, but it's absolutely not true. Just like Dennis said.
Yeah. Now, we got another question that says, I am a crappie guide in Georgia and I go to Florida a couple times a year. Would you be interested in helping me, like teaching me to crappie fish?
Yes. So I get this all the time. I have professional fishermen go fishing with me all the time. You got to remember, some of them going to tell me the truth, and some of them not. I'm a retired law enforcement. I can figure stuff out. It don't take me no time.
Yeah.
If you be truthful and honest with me, I teach you anything you want to know. I'm retired, so yes, I'm willing to help anybody out, but you just got to be honest with me. You
Yeah.
got
Don't
people that
try to
put
scam
filter
one
with me.
over
You
and
got
pull
people
one
that put the
over on
filter
you.
with me just to see what I'm doing, and I can tell by the question they asking. They're
Mhm.
not just a normal customer that want to go fishing. I have a lot. Now that we talked about bass guy, I have a lot of people that actually, I mean, say bass fish. They just want to crappie fish when they come to Florida, like normal say when they come in the
Yeah.
wintertime. So they want to try something different. So I get a lot of those customers also.
Yeah. So that, yeah, because I know me and you've talked about that before, and you're like, man, that's just so frustrating that they think they're trying to pull one over on me, and and you're like, after 27 years in in the law enforcement, like I've gotten to be able to read people pretty well, and so, but I do was talking about the law enforcement. I do want to talk, Dennis. How did you get into the law enforcement to be able to have that longevity of a career to do that?
Well, I really, to be honest, I really didn't want to get into law enforcement. I got tired of driving truck and coming up trying to do the wrong thing, as far as working hard or whatever. So I decided to give it a try, and the try turned out to be 10 years. Once I got to 10 years, I'm like, I'm too deep in this thing now. I
Now,
got to
yeah,
go and make a career out of it. So you only have to do 25 years in Florida to get a full retirement.
right.
So they got what we call a drop program, and I got into the drop for a couple of years. I'm like, I don't need the drop. I get a 3% cost of living raise every year, so it'll catch up with itself. So I've been
Yeah,
retired 12 years now. It's pretty good retirement. Then I went down to South Florida, where it's a lot better. So it
yeah,
made the retirement a lot better.
right. So, what are the lakes that are around you that you do guide on? Because I know that there's 27 lakes, but you don't guide on all 27 lakes, right?
So I got to be one of the blessed persons in the world, to be honest. I stay by two of the best lakes in Lake Placid. I'm a block away from Lake June. I'm a block away from Placid Lake, and I'm a half a block from Lake August, which I don't fish on Lake August because Lake
Yeah,
August is a small lake, and I know everybody around the lake. I respect them. I take my boat out there and I crank it up and run it. I got 4 boats, so I got to keep them, running right.
yeah,
But I respect the people's. But East Sepolia, I'm what 7 miles away, Norman, something like
yeah,
that. I don't even have to go to. Every now and then I go to Huntley when the shell cracker go to biting. This depends on. In the summertime, I kind of like do a lot more pan like shell cracking and bluegilling because it's that season and that time of the
right.
year. But if a person want to go crappie, we just go to deeper water. That's all. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna catch them year round, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Chili coolers.
Yeah.
So, um, other than that, I mean, guys, if you have right now, we have 1,200 people on here, Dennis. Real quick, how can people get a hold of you if they're wanting to book a trip?
So all you need to do is Google Lake Placid Freshwater Charter and Guide. You go to Google, you'll see it. If you go to Google right now, I'm on Google more than Google. It's no way when you pull up crappie in Florida, you're gonna find Lake Placid Freshwater Charter and
Yeah.
Guide somewhere. But you can give me a call 863-441-2784. I stay booked. If you plan on going to Florida, I have a lot of customers. For some reason, they think they can call me today and go fishing tomorrow. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm busy. I'm gonna brag on this one thing. I'm one of the best crappie guys in the state of Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just make
And I
sure you
mean,
pre-book, kind of plan your trip ahead of time and pre-book Dennis. But me and Colin will attest it'll be one of the best times you'll ever have on the water
yeah.
catching coffee. And this man is a class act. He knows what he's doing. He'll put you on him. And one of the things when you go out with Dennis, it's all about you. He caters to you, and again, just like we talked about before, don't go out on a full stomach because he will feed you. You're going to eat. You're going to have dinner out there while you're jacking crappie. So, and I don't know of another guide. Whether bass guides don't do it because we don't have the means on bass boats, but I don't know another crappie guide that actually
Restroom,
will feed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
any kind of music you want to
enclosed
listen
restroom
to.
for your private, the whole 9 yards. So this man will
Yeah.
take care of you. And one more thing too, and his website is Lake Placid Freshwater Charter Guide.com. Very simple, just the name of
Yeah.
his.
Yeah. I've got that in the description,
Yeah, yeah.
guys. So all you have to do is just go down to the description and just click that link,
And
and it's
also,
going to take you.
yeah, I was going to say also, if you want to keep up with with what Dennis is doing. He has daily posts after every trip, after each trip.
Yeah.
Check him out. Go ahead and follow him. Send a friend request or like his Facebook page as well, which is
Actually, I got two
Dennis
Facebook
Crenshaw
pages
Senior is the
Yeah.
one Facebook page,
and Lake
and
Placid.
Placid Freshwater Charter and Guide is
Is
his
the other
pro page and his business page as well. So like that page, shoot him a friend request on his Dennis Crenshaw Senior page, and you kind of follow him and see what he's doing. And believe me, I love looking at each post that he makes after each trip because it just goes to show you, what they are catching out there, and it just attests to, and he puts in the work,
Yeah.
and that's what you got to do to be a really, really good guy.
One thing I would like to say before we depart, I'm so proud of myself. I broke my own record. I caught a 3-pounder. Actually, I'm getting mounted right now. I caught a 3-pounder the other night.
Oh
3 pounds
man.
crappie.
Yeah. We actually got a guy that's on. His name's Jeremy Farmer, that I have become buddies with here probably. Well, I guess since the beginning of the year, and I've talked to him. He makes glide baits and stuff. So, but like when I say he makes them, like he actually took a gizzard shad, like a 6-inch gizzard shad, and put it in the mold to get the impression and stuff, and then he pulled it out, and he's able to pour a mold of the gizzard shad, and but he hand paints it. It is phenomenal. And when you said that you're getting it mounted, he's actually I'm going to have him paint up a replica. I got to get the mount for um, my biggest bass, which was a little over 10 pounds here on Chickamauga. He's actually going to. I'm going to send him a picture, and he's going to paint it up for me. So, but yeah, so I seen that he was on here watching. So, want to kind of give him a little shout out with that as well. But so, how big is that crappie that is in between you and Norman, Dennis?
2¼ pound. That one there,
How
2¼ pound.
how long is that?
17 inches.
Yeah, that is a massive.
The one I caught the other night, I promise you, I thought it was a big bass. It scared me when I caught him in the boat. 3 pounds. And guess what? Remember I told you I had him on the tip of the lip. If I'd have snapped back too hard, he'd have been gone.
You would have missed him. Yeah.
Yes.
So, other than that, Dennis, man, I deeply appreciate you coming on. Norman and I do. Um, we need to keep you coming on. Let's plan this to where like during the summer, Dennis, to where because right now it's the end of for us it's the end of winter, starting of spring. Let's plan another episode with you for right smack in the dead middle of summer, to where we can. I want to talk to you more about like the summertime crappie fishing, how you're finding crappie in the summertime. Um, because again, like what you were saying, that they're going to go deep, so you're going to be going to the deeper waters and stuff like that. I want to know. I want to kind of pick your brain during the summertime about it.
Yeah, and I got something for you too for that. Yeah, I got all kind of ways that deep and finding the crappies.
Right?
We actually might be able to do that as long as me and Colin get down from Orlando quick enough on Thursday night. We might be able to do it where we're all sitting right here.
Yeah, we may. Let's try to. We'll try to do that, Dennis, if that sounds good with you.
Oh, that sounds good because I'm interested in hooking up with y'all for iCast again. So
yeah, good deal. So we'll all be together anyway. We'll just follow this cool cat because we'll probably be staying with him anyway. Yes. So this man actually, when we're down here for iCast, he opens his house. Him and his wife Gwen. We got to give a big shout out to Gwen and I could. Dennis asked me when we're going to be doing this, what do I want for dinner? And I told him, you know what I went? I went Gwen's famous fried chicken. And the reason I'm saying that is my plate's still in there. I was too busy when I first got here to chow down, but I'm looking forward to that. And the main reason I'm saying that is Collins ate Gwen's chicken too, so I'm just making him a little.
It is the best fried chicken I have ever had.
Eat
And
your,
put
eat
a
your,
little. Norman, you got it. You have to put a little bit of hot sauce on that, though.
cool
You
crap.
have to. You have to.
I don't have any Cajun in me.
No, you don't have to have. Dennis, he doesn't have to have any Cajun to put a little hot sauce on it, does he?
2 days ago, when I had to try, I was staying at my brother-in-law's house. I took a bag of potato chips just to munch on during the day because usually when I'm guiding, I don't have any food. I don't eat. I don't have time. So I took a bag of potato chips, not realizing they were spicy. I took one chip, and I think my mouth had a 5 alarm fire going off in it for about 2 hours. I'm like, holy cow! I drank 3 bottles of water just to cool my mouth down. So,
Man.
no hot stuff.
John Pummel Jr. says, I want to go. I don't know if he wants to go. I take it he wants to go out with Dennis.
John's actually been out with Dennis before. John,
actually, I seen him the other day.
Shout out to John too. He's actually a client of mine. He booked this trip down here was his second time. Him and his buddy.
I just seen him in Taco Bell yesterday in Arcadia.
I think John said he's also gonna book you again when we were out together.
Yeah, his daddy already booked it, but he didn't find time to go.
He said ICAST. He said he wants to go to ICAST.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah. I mean, if you know, John, if you know these cats, I mean, that we may be able to make that happen.
So, I'll write you later on, John, and see if I could arrange something where we could get you registered through myself and Colin. I'll try to get you in.
Yep. So, but guys, man, thank you again. Let's see, at 1260 people watching. So 260 or 1,260 people. And again, if you're going down to Florida and you have a day to be able to where you can go and do some fishing. If you're like, man, I'd love to be able to go and catch some fish. There's no other state that is like Florida. I mean, I'm going to be hollering at Dennis here pretty soon because I'm wanting to head down to Florida and trying to arrange some stuff to where we could possibly get back out on the water. Because again, I mean, it is a time of your life. You're going to fill up coolers, and there's no better time out on the water than going out with Dennis Crenshaw. So go check him out at Lake Placid Freshwater Charter and Guides.com and grab some apparel. I mean, because he's got some killer apparel, and book a trip. And if you're any other football fans besides Tampa Bay, make sure you bring it up and just tell them that Tampa Bay sucks. And he may give you a discount. He may. So, but Dennis, brother, man, I'm sorry that it took this long to get you on here. But this year we're focusing on trying to get other species fishing for either crappie, catfish, and stuff like that. And I thank you so much for being patient with us. And I cannot thank you enough for the support that you have given us. It has been phenomenal. And so, Dennis, thank you so much, brother.
You're welcome, my brother.
So, guys, again, go follow Dennis on Facebook, Lake Placid Freshwater Charter and Guides, and Dennis Crenshaw Sr. Go and follow him and keep track of what he's doing, because I imagine as soon as he gets that 3-pound crappie mounted, he's going to have a picture of it put on there. I'm excited about seeing it. And but with that being said, guys, just remember, God loves you as if you were the only person in this world to love. And we will see you out on the water, guys.
Live the passion.
Yes, sir.